Enjoy the silence. Hey, I'm sitting here in this beautiful park in Germany, and it's so silent that I thought, why don't I make a quick video to just talk about going deaf in one ear and tinnitus. So, I'm completely deaf in my left ear. However, somehow magically, I have a constant ringing too. Tinnitus. And this whole mess occurred after having a tumor behind my ear, an acoustic neuroma, also known as a vestibular schwannoma. I like to refer to it as my stupid tumor. Some of my friends named it Godfrey Pomeroy. He's gone now, but yeah, ever since they took him out of my head, I got these issues. And they've been very strange and not the easiest to adjust to at times. And I know I'm not the only one, so let's just talk about it. If you've gone through this or something similar, leave me a comment, tell me about your experience. Not just for me, but for anybody else that this happens to. So for me, I first realized that I was deaf, I believe it was 2 days after my operation. I was in my hospital bed and the television speaker thing I had, I put it to my ear. And I was like, I hear nothing. And then I did the check on this ear, go back to this ear, and I realized I'm deaf in that ear. It wasn't that big of a surprise. I was warned that could happen. In fact, I think they said it was like 50-50 chance, or even more than that. I knew before the operation that very good chance that I was going to go deaf in that ear. But honestly, I didn't really understand what that meant, and I think people that have hearing in both ears don't really comprehend how complicated it can be at times. And I admit, I too was a little naive when they mentioned I could go deaf in this ear once they removed the tumor. You know, I just thought, well, I have the other ear. But I'll tell you, as I came out of that hospital and I got home, and little by little I got more mobile and I started leaving my house. Going out into the street, for example, was very scary in the beginning. It feels like you sort of have a block here. Now I also have that I can't really move my head 100% that way like I used to be able to. I'm guessing because of the operation, stuff was cut. So when I'd be like crossing roads, very complicated, and not hearing anything coming from that direction, it's kind of scary at times. It took a while, but I found a doctor that got me hooked up with hearing aids, but they're not really hearing aids. There's one is just a microphone that transfers the data to the other one. So what this means, and what it means to have only one ear working, is when there's a lot going on, a lot of background noise, it all just mixes into one. It just becomes a big mess. And it's very tedious. It's very tedious to sort through. It's just very heavy energy-wise. It can be very overwhelming at times. I tried to go back to work a couple months after my operation. And working in sales and being deaf in one ear, plus my dizzy issues. But the being deaf in one ear and also this like constant ringing, it was a nightmare. If I had more than a few customers, plus music playing, plus a car goes by, I was constantly paranoid I was missing stuff. And I was missing stuff. And again, it becomes real heavy as everything blends together really loud. Yeah, I was not doing good with that in sales. At least not when there were multiple customers and a lot of noise and constant guilt feeling that maybe customers thought I was being rude and ignoring them, for example. Very tedious. So now I'm 3 years into it, 3 years having this, and I feel like I've adjusted a bit. I've even since gone to a concert. I was curious if I would be able to enjoy it, and oh, I did. I think it was Soulfly. How can you not enjoy that? And then I saw Life of Agony. Ugh. The best. Definitely not the same as it was with 2 ears, but I was still able to enjoy it a bit. However, again, very overwhelming. Just all this stuff going on around me. But again, I have dizzy issues as well, so that doesn't help. Surprisingly, for me, there was a positive in going deaf in 1 year. I shit you not. A pro, not just cons. Ever since I had this operation, I sleep like a baby. Like me personality wise, I was always somebody with way too much energy. I didn't need many hours of sleep. And when I woke up in the morning, generally I woke up with a full battery charged kind of feeling. Since this operation, I've noticed I have the best sleeps I've ever had of my life. And they are really amazing when I sleep on my good ear. For real, when I sleep on my good ear and the world is blocked out and my tinnitus isn't ringing too loud, best sleep I ever had in my life. I just think that's kind of a funny and weird side effect of having a tumor in your head. Feels a little bit like a gift. Try to find the good things. But I'll tell you, this god damn ringing in my ear. Sometimes it's worse. After 3 years now of dealing with it like this, I say that because I always did have some sort of tinnitus. I mean, at least for a bunch of years, but it wasn't extreme. From working and going to lots of concerts and being stupid and not putting earplugs in. But the tumor just destroyed everything right here on me. So now I have like tinnitus with the volume dial turned up to 11 here. Really strange for me is I have many moments where, and it's doing it right now as I'm talking, rather than it being this steady, loud noise that sounds like a television that was turned off like in the 1980s, and like for a few minutes after it's still turned off, you hear this weird like electrical noise, but louder. Well, mine does this weird thing where, like, as I'm talking, on the tones in my words, the ringing is like going with it. When I try to explain this to people, I equate it to like when you have a speaker at home, like on your radio, and the wire is like on, but it's not completely on, and you're not getting the full song through. You're kind of getting, which makes me wonder. Like, I'm no doctor, but it makes me almost wonder if there is like a nerve in there that's loosey goosey, if you will, trying to connect, trying to grab the sound. Or is it my brain lying to me trying to compensate? I don't know. But it's weird. And for me, ever since the operation, 3 years now, it's constant. There's no breaks in that. That ring is just always there. And it took me a while to really realize it, but I do feel in moments of stress or when I've done a lot of physical activity, it gets worse. But by worse, I mean louder. But even on a stress-free day, just sitting at home painting, there's that weird buzzing ringing in the background. I want to start soon looking into therapy for this, what's out there. Even if my health insurance doesn't cover it, I've heard that there are like different therapies and treatments that people get, places I can go here in Germany. So that's on my to-do list to look into, because people may say you get used to it. I say I can see how I can drive a person crazy, because it makes me crazy sometimes. It's very annoying. If you are watching this and you do have a constant ringing like that in your ear, leave me a comment and let me know how you've dealt with it. Disappointing for me was I was a little hopeful and excited when I got the hearing aid microphone situation, but unfortunately I'm finding in some situations they make things worse. A good example would be a room full of a lot of people. And more recently I've realized rooms with good acoustics or where there's an echo, I'm finding in those situations, all the hearing aid microphone thing does for me is make all of those noises louder in one ear. Where I do think they are a good idea, and I'm very thankful for them, is when I'm out walking around in a city or in the streets. That was kind of scary before I had them. I often felt vulnerable on this side, whether it was being at risk of getting hit by a car or even pickpocketed or something. I felt like a target. I felt like I had a blind spot over here. So yes, for safety out in the street, the hearing aid microphone thing that I got is a good idea. But in social situations, I'm really more likely to take them off and rely more on just leaning more this way with my good ear at the person talking to me. It's gonna sound silly, but I feel like I'm getting good at focusing with my good ear. And right now there's a guy walking my way behind me, even though there's not a path there. He's doing a full circle around me. I am such a paranoid American. But we were also, in fairness, just talking about me feeling vulnerable because of because of the deafness, the ringing, and I'm off balance. So that's my experience with going deaf in my left ear and having to deal with tinnitus, a constant ringing. As I said, it's on my to-do list to start looking into some tinnitus treatments, what's available out there, if it even be useful to me. Pretty much the doctors have told me like everything's destroyed in there. But I'll look into it, and of course I'll make videos and take you all with me. And as usual, I look forward to hearing from any of you that might have gone through this or something similar. What you experienced and how you handled it. That's useful information to a lot of people. I thank you all for listening, clicking like and or subscribing. And until we meet again, take care of yourself.